Welcome to Enchanted Pixie DIY. Today we're going to be making these Mickey and Minnie ears. The fabric is supposed to resemble blue jean fabric. I'm going to start off by taking the bigger template. I will try to link them below, or you can Google Mickey ear templates and you can find some. And you're going to trace 4 of those templates onto the fabric. I use different poses that Mickey and Minnie use, so I cut out 2 of the Mickey and 2 of the Minnie on this fabric. I do skip some of the fabric to find the exact poses I want, but if you want to make as many as you can to get the biggest bang for your buck, you can cut them out closer together. Once I have all 4 of those traced, I just use my scissors and I cut them out. You can either use scissors or a rotary blade, whichever you prefer, and you just need to make sure you cut all 4 of them out. Once you have all 4 of them out, you just set them aside, and I grab some felt and I use this smaller batting template, and you're going to cut out 4 of those. I do prefer white or black, but I use whatever I have on hand, and right now that's green. And so you just cut out, trace 4 of those and cut them out. Now, once you have all 4 of those cut out, you're just going to set them to the side. And then I use these coasters that I get off Amazon, but you can also just use regular cardboard. And I use the small batting template again, and I'm going to trace out 4 of those. And you can use any kind of cardboard, like Amazon boxes work, Walmart boxes work, but I do prefer these Amazon coasters, and I will leave them in the link below. So you're going to trace out 4 of them and cut them out. Once I have them cut out, I just pair them up to make sure they fit, and this is 2 coasters in my hand, and I like to put them on the headband to just see where they fit better, flip them around and get the angle that I like them on the headband, like how they're going to be on there. And then once I have that, I mark them. Here I'm just measuring it just to make sure again, but then I mark them with, like, this one's a 1, and then the top piece I put a T for the top, so I know that will be the front of the headband, and then the other side I put 2, and then the top piece has a 2T. Now I'm taking both of my 1 pieces, and on the side that I did not write, I am putting hot glue around the edge and in the center, and then I am going to lay on my batting. Now you can use polyfill, polysilk, old fill from a pillow. I use my batting from Joann's. I just cut it in squares and then glue it on top, put glue on there, and then lay it on top, and then cut it out around the ear. And I do this for all 4 pieces of the ears. Now once that is done, you're going to set the twos aside and the ones aside. I keep them paired up, and you're going to take those felt cutouts that we had, and you're going to put hot glue around the edge and on the center of it, and then you're going to take one of the earpieces and the batting side down, you're going to push onto that hot glue. And what that does is it creates a barrier between the batting and the fabric of the ears, so that way a whole bunch of the batting or the polyfill or silk doesn't poke through the fabric. And you just trim any extra that you have, and you do that for all 4 pieces. Now I am going to take the 1T and I'm going to find the pose of Mickey that I like, that I want to be on the first ear, and you turn it upside down, and you're going to make sure you line up the felt batting side to the fabric. So the side you wrote on is facing up towards you. And then you're going to put a little bit of hot glue, and then you're going to tap the edges down into it. And do this in small sections. So I put a little hot glue, I tap down the fabric, and then I put a little bit more hot glue, and then I tap down the fabric. And I do this all the way around one side, and then I go back and do it around the other side. Now you're going to do the bottom. I put a little bit of hot glue in the middle and I pull it up, and then I put a little hot glue on the left and push your corners in because you don't want them to stick out. And then I put some hot glue on the right, and then I just push the corner and fold it over. So now we have 1/2 of one ear. And then you're going to repeat the steps on all 4 of the other pieces. So this is going to be the back piece, and so I'm just putting another Mickey, so that way I have 1 Mickey and 1 Minnie on each side. And then I just do the same steps over. So I flip it over to see, to make sure I have the character lined up where I want it. And then I put the hot glue on the top, and then I fold down the pieces, and then a little more hot glue and fold down. And I do this all the way around just like I did with the other piece. Now remember to do smaller sections until you feel comfortable to do bigger sections. Now I have my 2 pieces, and now we're going to glue them together like kind of like a macaroon. So you lay one piece down, and you're going to put hot glue all the way around the edge, but not too close to the edge where it's going to pour out when you smush it together. And then you put hot glue all on the middle because you do want it to hold. And then you lay the other piece on top of it. And then I like to stand mine up to touch it onto the table to make sure they're both lined up. And then you're going to hold it for a good minute. I know this video doesn't show that, but because it's sped up, but you do hold it, and you do that to both ear pieces. Then I pull out my spacing template. I seen this on a video once, and it is literally a life changer because you don't have to measure anything. And I just trace a pair of real Mickey ears I have and use that as my template. And you take one of your ears and you're going to put a generous amount of glue on the bottom, but not too much where it will pour out the edges when you connect it to the headband. And then you're going to use the template to slide the ear onto the headband like that, and then I hold it for a while until the glue holds. Remember, this video is sped up, but I do hold it for a while. And I do it again on the other side of the ear. Did scan my spacing template up and attached it to the description of the video, but if it's not working, you can Google it and find one, or if you have a real pair of Mickey ears, just trace it out. That's how I got mine. I just traced it onto a piece of cardstock. And then once that's done, we're going to go ahead and put some trim around our ears. I know it's kind of out of focus here, but it is just regular like pearl trim or beaded trim, and I'm using kind of a blue. I want to say it was a royal blue, I believe. And you just put, I start at the end by the bottom of the ear, and I put a dot of hot glue on the edging line where the ears are, and then I just press the beads into it, and I go all the way around each ear like that. And I start at the bottom part of the ear, that way if there is a mess up at the end, it's up at the top where the hair bow will cover it. Once I get close to finishing, I pause and I measure the trim down all the way, and then I cut it, and then I finish gluing it down. That way I get the exact length that I want. Then I start on the top of the ear and I put a little bit of hot glue at the bottom, and then I press the trim into it, and then I'm going to do that all the way around the ear. So you don't want to put a lot of hot glue. You want to put just enough to hold the trim because you don't want it to seep out. So I put a little bit of hot glue, I tap the trim into it, and then I go all the way around the ear. Now here I measure it to for the bead to match the beginning bead, so that way they end up touching each other. So I make sure that I measure it up to that bead and then cut it and then glue it down, and then I put a little extra glue to hold it into place. And then after that I do the same thing on the other ear. Now for the head bow, I am using this royal blue sequence bow, and I just pull out my spacing template. I put some glue on the bottom of the bow, and then I put it right in between the ears and I hold it until it dries. Now I will include a tutorial on how to make bows. So you're going to take a piece of fabric and you're going to cut it out pretty big. the little green thing is like a 10 by 8 and it's bigger than that, so it's probably like, I don't know, 12 by 10, 12 by 11. And then I just trim up the edge to try to make it a little more straight. And then after that, I measure up the bow to make sure it's big enough for how I like it. And you do want the bottom piece to come up more than halfway and the littler piece to just go down a third. So I will put a line of hot glue across, and then I will pull it up higher than halfway, and then I put a line of hot glue across the top of the fabric, and I meet it where the bottom of the fabric was pulled up. And then on the sides, you do want those to meet in the middle. So I put a dollop of glue on each inside corner to hold it in, and then a line of glue, and then I push the edges in here. You see me pushing them in because you don't want the edges to hang off. And then I repeat that on the other side, and then a line of hot glue there, and then it matches up on to the other side. Then you can either pinch it, but I accordion fold it, and then I put hot glue in all of the folds to make sure they stay together. I take a strip of the same fabric, put a dollop of hot glue on the bottom, I put the fabric, I wrap it around tight, I put another dollop of hot glue, and then I cut off the excess, and that is how you make a bow. And here are our finished ears. I will link where I buy my bows off Etsy in the description box. I just don't like to make them. I knew how, I just don't. Thanks for watching. Bye.